if you can all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. First thing we have is the sheriff. There's an additional here. No, there's not anybody here. So this additional is for the $8,000 out of the 1192-303-60005, their Sex Violent Offender Administration Fund for the miscellaneous services. This is just to appropriate the offender registry costs. So it's just standard paperwork that they have to do in order to get the money into the account. Do you have any questions for myself? Do I have a motion for approval? Amanda made the motion. Do I have a second? Second. Carrie, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. The next one we have a 911 additional for $460,000. Dave, did you want to talk about that one? Or do you want me to take care of it?
You take care of it. I made it up though.
You made it up though. So this is for $460,000 out of the 1235 40401 156. The lit PSAP fund and equipment. This is the tower contract. Dave asked for additional last year. The bill did not come in or did not get paid, so they didn't encumber the money, so they have to redo the additional to have the money appropriated so that they can pay it. It's just paperwork. Do you have any questions? Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Jay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Brian. Or second by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next one is the $22,650 repair of the tower light at dispatch. Would you like to talk on that one?
Yeah, actually, it's the tower light on our tower is about 2 years ago got struck by lightning. There's a little on-off switch whenever you open the top of the light that got right out, and they put a bypass around it that needs fixed. Also, needs switched to a red at night, white at daylight. We have one at a light. I got 3 bids on it, and the pictures shows that it's actually like 14,000, so it's 14,000.
Correct. So the additional, so he'll only use what is actually needed for the quote.
Yeah. And, yeah, the company that did the quote did work on the tower before, so.
Do you have any questions? Do you have a motion for approval?
Somebody make a motion. 22,650 or?
Do you know the exact figure? The motion, we can do the motion on what the quote is per the commissioner's approval
Yeah.
that they approved on that quote for the 14, whatever it is. I can look at, I don't have my notes, sorry. I can't do that.
It was 14,000.
Okay.
For when it was RW, right? When that the name of the company?
It was Chris Cody's. Yeah. I think it's ECS, maybe. I haven't heard of this also.
So you could do it not to exceed 15,000 if you wanted to. Whichever.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the funds for repairing the tower light.
All right, we have a motion for 15,000 not to exceed. Do I have a second? Carrie made the motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, assessor additional for 15,000. I know Don, you're here. Would you like to explain?
I had one of my accounts go to the IPT office and go to capture you. It's Walmart. They already filed for an appraiser for them, so we need one to defend our assessed value. The professional appraisal comes out a little bit over 10,000, 10,100 plus. There's legal fees for them to represent us at the board for review, so I'm asking for 15,000 to cover that. Our assessed value is right in line with what Putnam County's around us. between $48 to $52 a square foot. We're right at 49. So I think we've got a really good opportunity to move in the case.
Any questions?
Just curious, who makes an appeal on something like this?
It's done
Like
by
a
tax
property
reps
owner?
for the companies, and most of the time the companies don't even know that it's being appealed. I had another one with McDonald's, but it didn't, the amount difference on our tax income didn't warrant the extra appraisal fee, so I just negotiated it.
And appeals are not uncommon. They
Yeah,
happen
okay.
over off and on.
We just haven't had them here in
For a
a
while.
long time.
With all the changes when they hired out the other company to get things up,
Yep.
that's caused problems.
Okay.
I think we knew this was coming. I think we, if my memory serves me right, when we knew that we were going to be having some of these appeals and anticipated it, so.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Stupid question. Can you just contact them and say, hey, do you know about this? Is this really what you want to do?
We've already tried negotiating
Okay.
with them, the tax rep, they just, matter of fact, they didn't even bother going through the bid roll, they went straight to IDTR.
Okay. So you've already tried that? That's where I was going.
Good question, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Amanda made the motion. Do I have a second? Danny second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Highway additional for $88,705.
Yeah, we sold 2 dump trucks and a trailer, which totaled $88,705. We want to buy a new broom, which is like $89,000. So we just want to put the money back in our account so we can buy a broom for the roads for chickens this season.
Okay. Do you have questions? Do I have a motion? All right.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Carrie made the motion, Jay second. All right, health additional. This is for $215,795.
This is all out of our 1161 fund. $128,000 of it is funds that we preserved, 10% of our HFI funds over the past 3 years to put towards the building, which we'll use for the renovation. And then the remaining funds are just additional funds that haven't been appropriated out of that program. There was a county that dropped out of HFI this year, and so we didn't know the exact number at budget time last year. So it's just the additional funds getting them appropriated so we can use it for programming.
Do you have any questions? Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Jay made the motion. Do I have a second? Carrie second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The edit plan additional. So they have $354,865 on the edit fund. Commissioners, would you like to explain? What's your additional?
Didn't bring my list.
I have it here. Number one.
Yeah.
Tom's fault. He's not here, so should the blame him.
That part of it was just drive and economic development, right? That's what you want to know?
I sit in your guys' meetings, so if you guys could explain to the rest of the board what this money is going for, that might be helpful for them.
Right, well, the edit money, we try to designate it to different organizations and back to the county to do projects with. One of them is the Thrive organization out of West Terre Haute, which they provide healthcare, patient ratings, transportation. What else, Gary? You're on that board.
Aging council, I guess you would say, traffic studies.
hopefully getting in revenues this year or next year, depending on their, yeah.
And so with that, what we did with that, then that did total the 354, 865, left us a balance of 1,192,836. And so we did give $1 million to the highway department for roads, bridges, equipment, and then the rest of it we turned back to the county commissioners.
Actually, it was.
Right, yeah, they left it.
Yeah, it's left out. Yeah.
But it was what, 29?
29,000.
To pay it.
I believe we have 10 years left on it, so they bond, it should be payment number, either 9 or 10 years. It's a 20-year bond. It should be number 11, I think.
And it was a bond that was set up that could be paid off early, we could pay it
Correct.
off anyway. So don't set a bond up that you can't pay.
I know that when I was at your guys' meeting, that Rochdale, I believe it was also coming before you guys, but you guys didn't know numbers. Do you have anything
Right.
else on that?
No, I talked to Debbie today,
So-
and she doesn't have any more numbers, we're waiting still on whatever they got to do.
So I guess my question is, if they come, 2 months from now, what are you guys gonna tell them at that?
Well, I guess we'll let Rochdale be over it, I guess.
Address it when they come.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys.
Well, we don't know if they're gonna get numbers in 4 weeks, or 24 weeks, or 34, who knows?
Maybe the end of the year, they're just starting to work on the project.
Any questions? So this edit was originally set up years and years ago to make bond payments out of when things were paid, and then there was additional money that came in. That's when they were giving things to the fair and for ribbons and all these other different entities over the years. Yes, you did. Yep. When the funding went down, things had to get cut, things have gone up, things have got back in, so. Now
I
that,
thought we wasn't gonna give a lump sum to, for the county highway, that whatever they wanted to buy, they had to come in front of us to get approval.
well, that's what we set up last year was,
Right.
and we can, if that's what you guys want, that's what you guys can do. Again, if you want, say, they've got so much, they have so many bridges and they want this much for that, that way we, in the funds or accounts like we did last year.
I just thought it was that way. I didn't know it started over again. That's the reason I asked the question.
Yeah, no, it does. It starts over every year.
Okay.
And I got some more for the money for you. We did okay to redo 3 bridges yesterday, and those bridges amount to $1,183. Then there's 3 bridges that will replace with culverts, and they total 63,877.40. And then we did vote okay to pursue, if this goes through, to buy a tractor for $115,000 and a grinder to grind the blacktop roads with. And both of those, and it was $79,300. And with the grinder, we get more teeth with it. And that was a total of $193,300. And also, since we're not getting community crossings money this year for blacktop, that will be missing out on $1.5 million. So,
I thought they opened that back up that you guys
well,
could
they
apply
did,
for
but we
that.
gotta reapply, and we're not gonna know until, what, July?
We have bids coming in this Friday. I did resubmit it, but it is a first come, first served. So as soon as we do open the bids next week, then I have to present our lowest bid to NDOT, then NDOT will let us know if there's any money left. But when they called, they said, you have to go through the normal standard process, which is the 2 weeks of advertising, and have it all rebid again, and then whoever turns their bids in first may get the money if NDOT has it, if they don't. So our goal is I set the bids at exactly 2 weeks, and then we will open them Monday in a special meeting. I will call NDOT Monday afternoon and see if there's any money left or not, but they won't tell you till the bids are in.
Remember, meeting as fast as possible. Right.
Any other discussion?
We're gonna replace bridge 95 to 11, 154.
And then 107, 148, and 78, they'll be replaced with culverts.
And these are ones from last year that I wrote over, correct? That you were working on last year?
No, these are all new.
This is in the bridge plan.
Yeah,
Right, it's in the plan, but I mean,
Our bridge plan we started last year.
but these are the ones we're getting. And then there's one yet.
Of course, of course you do.
I don't know if that helps you or not.
It does.
I should have made more copies, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, I'll share.
That sheet has the bids on it too from other companies. correct?
Yeah. No, that sheet doesn't, that's
That one- that's
the
the one.
actual cost.
Here, I got this one, if you want to look at this one.
Those are the actual costs for the ones you guys approved.
Yes, just for you.
Andy.
Oh, there's the Andy.
That's Andy one.
No, you're fine. No, thank you. Thank you.
First one, that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if you want to do it that way. That's fine. Here, Andy, here's my cost. Go ahead. That's Angelique.
Doesn't matter which one it is.
No, if you want to do a motion for the top portion to the entities, plus we need to make sure that we include that Angelia one.
Okay.
Which the Angelia one was, 31,216.25 was their payments.
They said 29 something, but paperwork's got 31.
That's what my notes were. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to make a motion for that, and then someone you want for the discussion for the rest of it.
Okay. So, I'll move to approve the 386,000. What is that? 100 and I don't know. Just because of math here.
Is it not the,
Well, not if you add in the Edgeley project.
well, I don't know if that is already included in her numbers or not. I think it's pretty close. 385, no, you're right. So it'd be like what, 385 TV1?
386.
Dude, let's not numbers, okay? We're not proud of here. Go ahead with the question, sir.
Yeah, to support Thrive, Economic Development, Senior Center, Rural Transit, Isaiah House 117, Food Pantry, People Pathways, Beyond Homeless, Area 30, Mental Health Association, Putnam County Redevelopment Commission, and pay the bond for the Edgeley project.
Motion for all of that. By Jay, do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the remaining balance. 1,192,800, around 926. The remaining balance. The highway department. Commissioners would like to do that 1 million, and then I think the remaining of that, I'm going to do into the short check.
So the original price of the 1,100,000, the 1,183,000, did that include the price of the tractor grinder and the culverts, or was that separate pricing?
No, the bridge was,
Yeah.
the bridge would be 1,064,000. And then the tractor and grinder would be 1,094,300.
So would these funds be used for the equipment or only dedicated toward the bridges?
It'll be used
Or-
for roads, bridges, and equipment.
Okay, so they're not specifically tied to just the bridge projects.
That's the only thing we got tied to the bridge project.
Which this year, they're estimating of them getting 900,000 from the whole tax. And then the 221,822 that you guys got off of the hazardous waste. And then, they've got the 315,000 that went for the fuel system for all of the county vehicles, out of county general. And then they're asking for $1 million.
And last year we got 898,000, but you guys did dedicate the energy this year for food purchases this year, so
Well, that's because that was a one-time extra thing that was there. I know you're trying really hard.
Well, that would be what we
Have to be. That's up to the-
we didn't last year.
Nope, we did it as you guys needed it, we set it aside as you guys needed it for the bridges. Which, I mean,
probably wouldn't do those September, October.
right.
What I did last year was I got with Christina and I said, I need this much for this bridge, and that's what she put in that bridge fund, and then that's how I paid the bridge, and then the bill come in. And I can go in and itemize each bridge like I showed you on it, because we already have quotes on all the bridges that we want to do. So we're gonna need this much for this bridge, this much for this bridge, this much for this bridge, this much for the tractor and the grinder, and send out a spreadsheet showing exactly which bridges money's gonna go to with, what piece of equipment, that will help.
And then the other bridge is on hold right now, it's just we have more people look at it, because it is one of the projected.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one bridge.
Was it 92? Is that right?
Yeah.
We have some different companies that have different ideas. That bridge has a 90-degree rating that a lot of people want all of those.
So could that price change?
Yeah.
Yeah. You start bringing iodine and water stuff in there.
I'm not saying it's something we want to do, but it's something we need to look at, the options, because the longevity of the bridge, you lose that 30 years.
And another bridge that's not on that list is Bridge 45 on the county line. So we take control of the bid on it. There's only three after what we prefer.
Are you talking about 45? maybe move it,
Huh?
to move it.
Put it back.
This is gonna be expensive.
So there's still other things.
Yeah.
Shift the county line.
Yeah, just cut the bridge out and just give it to Hendricks and then we're good. They want it fixed anyway for
Mhm.
Mark. So, thoughts, do you guys?
I would recommend doing it how we did it last year, where we have the proposed plan, but bringing it and having the separated funds and kind of how she had done it last year with the spreadsheet. This is being paid for this instead of just appropriating it.
I didn't hear what all she said, but she said like we did last year.
Same thing last year, yes.
I'm good with that.
James, Brian, Gary?
I'd like to see a plan.
I mean, we don't ever basically deny it, but at least we have in front of us what we're referring for the money.
Did everybody hear that?
No, we
Don't ever deny it.
We don't ever have it.
We don't ever, not
That's what we
going
do.
to.
I bet that I said nothing.
Hey, just you can, I heard, you can keep that bridge plan and just add about 300,000 to it, that all gets to zero. Well, maybe more than that, I heard.
No.
Yeah.
Do it. Not to exceed.
Yeah. No, you're cut off right there. I mean, we gave you guys $2.9 million last year, all the extra
Don't
stuff.
think we didn't appreciate it.
That's dropped the butt.
Did you, and just remember, we're just trying to not be the worst bridges in the state of Indiana. We're at least want to be like number 4 worst bridges. in the state.
I respect
It's the reason
and
we
appreciate.
replaced more bridges last year than we have in the last 20 years combined.
Absolutely.
We did 10.
Hmm?
So,
We did
30 years.
You guys have done great moving forward.
We're being conservative.
we're just keeping
We
the
didn't
momentum
use
going.
the highest price rate. I had to twist Rick's arm to go along with one of them.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Do we need a motion to
Yeah.
put the money in the war chest?
Yes, please. Please, come here.
I will make a motion to put $161,619.75 of the edit fund into the war chest fund.
All right, I have a motion by Jay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brian, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we will be looking forward to the plan that you guys bring and the numbers for each one of us. So thank you for that also. Okay, moving on. Juvenile probation additionals. So this is $1,000 for their drug screens. It's just appropriating the grant money into the accounts. Do I have a motion for approval? Make a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Rainy day fund, a rainy day additional $114,163. This is to correct a payroll issue, a reimbursement. So I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jay made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Carrie, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Planning and building additional $1,148 for their repairs and maintenance for a vehicle. The insurance check has to be put in the fund and appropriated into the account for them to be able to spend it. So do I have a motion for approval? Carrie made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brian, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Got both ears going. All right. Hazardous waste additional, $400,000 for the purchase of the health department's building. We were going to do funding for that, but decided that with the money sitting there, it can only be used for certain things, so why not use it for what it can be used for? I don't know if anybody wants to add anything to this, any questions for it? Did you guys want it? Yes, Brian, go ahead.
What's the total between what was approved last month?
So is that the total from the two, or last month, or this month?
I don't remember.
That'd be 300 close to what?
Okay.
Yeah, the purchase price is $700,000.
You're the one that makes the big bucks, you should know that.
That's the reverse. If you want to switch it, we can talk about that.
Hey, I need that check by Thursday morning too.
Sure, I don't write the check. Do you guys want to add anything to that, Brian?
I thought, maybe this is Mr. Question, I thought it was gonna be 900,000.
Hold on, we're not there yet.
All right, cool. I'm up
We
to half.
got more to go. Hold on.
Wait, there's more.
That's right.
Wait.
Wait, there's more.
So, but my only thought, this is out of hazardous waste, right?
Correct.
My only caveat with that, I think we talked about that, is we were taking money for roads for out of hazardous waste for a bit, and the amount that you can take for roads is based on the amount that's in that account on January 1st.
Correct.
So, and so we know, I didn't want to come back and say, oh, we didn't know that.
They know that it will be less, but there's changes that are hopefully to be made that will help increase that offset.
I agree, but as we are sitting here right
Right.
this moment,
The
and
money we took out this year is based off the amount that the account balance as of January first.
Yes.
yes, but next year will be as of January 1st, okay, but just that we're taking it down, I just wanted to make sure, I felt that I needed to throw that out there. That would be wonderful, but that would be great. I just made a note when I saw that was on there, then it triggered that we had that conversation before, and I just wanted to make sure we were all still on the same page with that. We will only be able to take the percentage based on what's left. I think it's still a wise move, what we're doing and how they're doing it. I think it's fiscally prudent to do it that way, but there's some other things to think about.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion for the $400,000 approval? Jay made the motion. Do I have a second? Danny second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, and the second part of this is the $200,000 for the repairs and maintenance for the health department purchase for there are half of the renovations. That's the word I couldn't think of. So they have theirs that he already approved for their renovations. This is the other half of that, the original $400,000 that they were estimating. Do you have any questions? Do I have a motion for approval? Carrie made the motion. Do I have a second? I made a second. All those in favor say aye. Thank you. Oh, yes, absolutely. I've gone to a few of these buildings looking at before we got to this point, so yes. Moving things in the right direction, thankfully.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you guys' hard work. Okay, next we have annex. Lisa, would you like me to turn it over to the two of you?
Sure. Would you like me to approve the active ordinance first, and then you want to look at numbers and stands, or
So Jason has put together some new numbers for us to confuse us more for the 100th time. They said that we will like these numbers even better. So would you guys like to look at the numbers first, or talk about the ordinance? Let's look at the numbers first.
Okay.
Let's go with the numbers. Everybody likes numbers. No, please go right ahead. We can make extras also. So could we go ahead and give our two commissioners that are here?
Stephanie, does she need to be at a microphone since we're...
She can have mine.
That's fine, turn it around, it's fine, just want to make sure we can hear
Here's extra.
on, if anyone, I don't know if anyone's watching or not, but if I'm ready for the system, we need to read it.
Why, sure, do you have extras? I'll make copies.
For you, she brought extra.
You did?
So again, Yes, I don't believe I have this already.
I don't,
This is Brandon.
I do not.
Yeah.
all right, good evening, everyone. My name is Emma Adlam. I'm stepping in for Jason Simler tonight. And so we put together some more numbers for you for your consideration. You don't need to make a decision today, but there are some things that will need direction from you in the near future. So a couple considerations as we talk through these numbers is, one is the method of sale for this bond issue, whether it's a private placement with a bank, if it's sold on the open market, which we'll talk about those differences on the next page. The second is how much cash on hand you want to contribute to this project to reduce how much you borrow. And then the third is the term, or how long of a bond issue it is, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So if you turn to the page 2, the first page of the numbers, this shows the estimated project costs and funding. So to try to reduce the amount of numbers we throw at you tonight, we are limiting this just for each of these are just the 20-year term. There is the possibility for these bond issues, typically there's the ability to pay off or refinance a bond after a 10-year period. So that's why we wanted to try to simplify it, show you a 20-year term, but know that after the 10-year period you can refinance. If you build up cash, you can pay it down, pay it off. The private placement bond issue, think about this as being purchased by a local bank, or if a couple of banks come together to buy this bond issue. It is a little bit simpler of a bond issuance process. So you'll see in the allowance for issuance costs, that number is less in the private placement column than in the open market column. I should start with the 15.82 shown on both. That's the net proceeds for the project, and that's the guaranteed maximum price number. The open market bond issue is more involved in issuing the bonds. There's an offering document that Big Utility puts together. You have to go through a rating agency, Standard & Poor's, to get the bonds rated. And because of S&P's rating fee, a little bit more work, you'll see the open market issuance costs are a little bit higher, just because of more fees with S&P especially. Looking down in the estimated project funding, to try to compare apples to apples and helping you kind of think about which route for the method of sale, we're showing the same cash contribution amount between the two scenarios. And talking with Jason, he was telling me that this is kind of the high side of the cash contribution scenarios that he's shown you all. So you could contribute less, just knowing that that would increase the par amount of the bond issue for whichever scenario you choose. So then, taking into account the cash contribution, the slightly difference in issuance costs, the open market bond issue, you'll see an allowance for placement fee or underwriter's discount. That's the fee that whomever buys the bond issue, they charge a fee to buy the bonds in the open market and then resell them on the secondary market. So that's what that $112,000 allowance is. So comparing those two, we're looking at a private placement bond issue of approximately $11,065,000 versus an open market bond issue of $11.2 million. Now, looking below, you'll see a line for assumed interest rate and assumed total principal and interest. So one of the the differences is that a private placement, while it might be easier to place it with banks, typically there is a higher interest rate when comparing the similar term and security. So for the private placement, we're illustrating 4.95%, open market about 4% over the 20-year term. The assumed total principal and interest, Jason understood from talking with you all that you're interested in the private placement because it could be what's called a draw feature of you don't have to borrow all $11 million on the day of closing, that you could first spend spend your cash on hand, and then you could, once you're ready, once you've spent all your cash, then you could start drawing on the principal bond issue. So I can show you in the next amortization page that we've illustrated that, but this assumed total principal and interest accounts for incorporating that draw feature. So over the life of the bond issue, while the private placement might be a little bit cheaper in terms of how much you borrow, because of the higher interest rate, we're showing a higher principal and interest total payment over the 20-year term. Okay, so the next page, page 3, don't need to focus on this for too much, but this just shows the assumed draw schedule that we got from Envoy recently, and you can see that first we're showing the application of cash on hand, from this summer to about the end of the year, and that's when you'd be estimated to use up that full cash contribution, and then you can see in the beginning, like end of December, is when you start making draws for the construction cost on the bond issue in the private placement scenario. And if you flip to the next page, this is the amortization, page 4 is the amortization schedule for that private placement. I want to point this out in case you like getting into the numbers, you like seeing it. But over on the left-hand side, you'll see principal draw. So that's how much you take out from the bond issue, and how much of that you're paying interest on. So then you see principal outstanding. You just pay issuance costs at the beginning, and then once those construction draws start, then you'd be paying interest on those construction draws. So the estimated interest column towards the middle, in the first couple of payments, you're really not paying that much of interest because you really haven't drawn that much principal down. And so part of the consideration of looking at the 20-year term is to minimize how much you absolutely need to pay each year in terms of your debt service payment, knowing that if you set cash aside, that at that 10-year period you could refinance, pay off a portion of that bond issue, or how much cash you've accumulated, potentially pay it off. So annual payments, looking at annual payments, the private placement is about $870,000 of annual debt service payments. And then if you turn to the next page, the open market bond issue, about $810,000 of annual payments. Because the private placement, because of the kind of delayed timing of when you're actually drawing on it, how much principal you can pay up front is a little bit different. So that's one of the reasons why. But really it's the 4.95% versus the 4% interest rate. So I just threw a lot of information at you. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention is in the open market that you can't you do as a draw bond, that it's all issued at closing, and that all of those funds will be sitting in a construction account. You can earn interest on those proceeds, if you're waiting to use them. So we did a rough calculation, maybe about $200,000 of interest earnings could be had in the open market scenario that could be applied towards the project or towards debt service payments.
Is that something that we can take that money that's not being used for that CD, as you were saying, or whatever? Is that something that we can do with our local banks, or is that set as to where that can go or cannot go?
You can choose the institution. There's certain types of investments that you're restricted towards investing, but you can choose, because it's a general obligation bond, the funds are held by the county. It's not a lease rental bond where the funds are held by the trustee. So you have some autonomy, but from Indiana code, you're restricted to what types of investments. Mm-hmm. I would suggest doing your second option first, is because if you don't need to spend that cash on hand, then it's free for other purposes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have more flexibility because if you use your cash on hand first and the bond proceeds were sitting there, yes, you might have interest earnings on the bond proceeds, but you're restricted in how you can use those interest earnings, while, say, the rainy day fund, if you spent bond proceeds first and you didn't need all X dollars that you want to contribute to the rainy day fund, well, that's way more flexible. That's way more flexible.
Almost not be able to get $500,000 of contingency in this project to make sure everything not spent.
That's correct.
You're also eliminating bond proceeds and not
That's correct.
so you're not limited on what you
Yeah.
earn with your cash, but you would be with bonds. And you can, I know we talked about this with you, and I know, for example, like the scenario, after you did it on the 20 years, but if you do a calculation on payments on the 10-year, take that excess money, put it into another fund, and you got, if we're ready to pay that one off, for the 10 years, whether you do that for courthouse renovations, or you're doing that, then that's not do that. Is that something else you can also do to help speed the process along with the with the contract?
And I think in that flexibility, because you're committed to whatever the debt service is, calculate those, so that at least is locked. If you do a lower payment, then we would not need it, yeah. And then obviously more, but like a 10 years, we really need to get a huge revision because they take a while to review everything. So we can do what we can pay the first time on both drafts. The open market draft and the first. We didn't even take paperwork, but I think the whole first. The principal draw shows how much is on, so we use the draw to the human cost that was working when we first negotiated. The open market bond, we just don't have that system draw column because it's not a listed on that. To answer specific questions, through, very helpful, really whenever I need
Is there a wall where the service can go in right at the building we have to work on and save money where they can put it out as, I'm trying to think of the right name that you could use, where you apply it to the POFG, is that correct, where it's, oh my gosh. I see. You know, it's that.
that saves the money or not, I'm not sure. So they do, we write the paperwork as if it's a lender loan situation as opposed to a bond security situation.
Because that way you don't have to pay for the bond. Because even in the private place, I mean, I'm not saying to go that anyway, but I just want to make sure I'm thinking right, because the way I figured, like on a 10-year term that the private place was, okay, the bank is actually going to be making like $155,000 up front by doing that, like that. But if you go and reword it and have it drawn up where you won't have to use a bond, you can save that upfront cost. But by doing, so anyway, by paper that.
You might be talking about a construction draw type of
Well, I know you
obligation.
can do it right that,
Which
but
is, yeah.
then after that, you gotta borrow the money, but you can do it. But if it's me looking at this, I still say the best option is the 10-year at 3.45% interest. Because in the long, I mean, I don't know, you guys may have the numbers better than I do. I mean, it'll save you a lot more money in interest, but just doing it in 10 years at 3.5% and doing it 20 years at 4%. You don't have.
You mean from the last time, the numbers we had last time? Okay.
It's not on that. Yeah, she had to go with two scenarios.
I didn't think you wanted that figure.
Yes, he had that. Yeah. And you can do any of those options. And,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that's a really good segue right now just to talk about the bond movements that you have in front of you, because what we do is we call it per revenue. So, if we're through here, I think we'd be authorizing a maximum bond movements. We would be authorizing a maximum term of 20 years, and a maximum discount to the interest rate. But when it comes time to actually sell those bonds, you can sell one. If you want 10 years, then that's going to go up. That's what local banks would. So the ordinance is meant to keep all of your flexibility. It authorizes you to use any legally available revenues. It authorizes you to negotiate with a local bank and do a construction draw type scenario. It authorizes early redemption of the bond. So it keeps all of these options open that you're looking at, but it starts the process. So this evening, we're only asking that you introduce the bond ordinance. Then you can talk more about your numbers and your scenarios. And the 21st, we will be asking you to actually adopt the bond ordinance so that further actions can be taken towards the sale of the bonds. And then the other ordinance that you have tonight is called the additional appropriation ordinance. That's only here for introduction as well, because when you have bond proceeds, you have a budget through your budget process to spend those bond proceeds. So we have to do an additional appropriation of the bond proceeds. That's all that ordinance is doing. So you'll see the maximum amount in there, the 14.5. Because if you decide to use less cash and bond 12 million or obligate yourself to 12 million, then we still appropriate all of that. If you decide to use all of your cash and only go with 10 or 11 million, you can still do that with these ordinances. And I'm happy to walk through the whole ordinance, but I suspect you probably don't want me to, but I can certainly show you where those items are that I just mentioned. But that's the flexibility in this ordinance. Yeah, and if you want to, if you simply introduce them, which is again all we're asking for, if you want to take time on your Sunday morning with your coffee and read the entire ordinance and then ask questions,
Yeah.
you can do that too.
I
She will do that.
I done it. I read all the way through it today. About fell asleep at my desk, but I made it through. We don't want to make too many copies. We'll have to take down lots of trees.
Do you have any more questions, thoughts, suggestions? We hate this, we love this. I don't know.
In the back.
There's a bird in the back.
We wouldn't need to do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the project cost us $15,802,000. I thought it was 15.4, so it went up over $400,000.
So the unit fee for our lawn was, 466, I want to say. And we have to have all the project costs into that. So we have utilities during construction. We also have, your, mortgage, of all.
So once you just take that 500,000 away from the contingencies, then it just be reduction.
We can.
I wouldn't recommend having the contingency at this point. I do like the conversation earlier about, that money with this money.
Right.
Go right back to.
You could take out the contingency, but then when something is not where it needs to be or something's wrong,
Let me get wrong.
then they're coming back for, more money.
I just wondered why it went up $400,000.
Because when we do the project finances, we have to, anything that goes to the project, we got to account for it, so it's not just fire lawn, it's anything. All those numbers include the executive fees.
Mhm.
Dale, I have a
And
question.
they did lower their fees from what we saw.
The further, like, if we don't close May 13th and we go out another month, are you going to be coming back with higher project costs?
Well, this is where I clarify, on your owner's rep, I'm not Ramon, he's still in, so I'll put that out there. But, Ramon was able to work with us, to this point, and we have held the number that we've had since, December.
Mm.
I can't say, you know, I talked to him about that, second date, and we were fine with that. They were able to
Okay.
accept that, and more or less, the gap. So they've proven, to be a partner there. So, we get past that May 7th date, and we open ourselves up to that conversation again. So we're good for the next day.
But to hit that date, we need direction fairly soon, like in the next,
On the-
on the open market versus private placement is the piece that we really need direction from you all, ideally, in the next 6 months.
More than the number. It's the method of sale, because if you want to go competitive to get the lower interest rates, regardless of whether you're going to do 10-year or 20 or 15, they got to get that process started or we'll be behind the eight ball.
So you're asking if we could go decide whether we wanted to do the open versus like
Yeah,
private
or
placement.
private placement.
If we can at least make that decision
That-
tonight, that would be helpful for you
that would
guys.
be very
Don't have to do it,
How-
but that would be helpful.
Yeah, and that's to hit, try to, to stay on track for the closing.
How confident are you in those numbers? And does that number, the private placement percentage rate, does it also go down when we go down on years? Or are we confident that that stays at where it's at on these documents?
So, I mean, there's always risk, you know,
Oh,
it's the estimate. I mean, I talked to our pricing director to get his thoughts going forward. He doesn't see large changes in interest rates. They might go down 21.5, they might go up 21.5. It's, but you never know what's going to happen in the world. But the shorter the term, then the interest rates will go down. So these 20 years, this is the high side of interest rate. If you go down to 15 years, those interest rates will be less.
but that's with private placement and with open market placement.
They both.
They should
They
trend,
kind of should
okay,
similar.
okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we always add a level of cushion.
Okay, that's fine. I just,
Numbers. For the open market, the private placement, it's my understanding that that interest rate was a feedback from the discussion.
I think so.
Yeah.
But,
The
yeah.
open market one, usually we build it a little cushion.
okay, thank you.
Thoughts, more questions?
I mean, 0.95
Anybody else have any thoughts? Gary? David?
I like the idea of looking at amortizing over a shorter period, maybe 20-year option.
Right.
Just for efficient.
I just want us to make sure that we're not going to get ourselves, like with this 10-year, our bond payment is say 11.2. I don't want us to get ourselves into a crunch. Yeah. Where if it's short, if it's the payment's less, we can always continue that same amount, everything should be allowing it, but set it aside to that other fund or whatever to pay that off early at the same time.
And we were talking a little bit before the meeting with the fact that it's any legally available revenues each year through the budget process. You could be choosing different revenues each year, not just saying you got to take it out of this
Right.
fund every time. You could mix that around based on the rest of your needs.
Right. And as everything continues to change, and all hopefully the new things that we added in to that revenue. What's that?
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I've always promoted this 20-year thing, doing that, but what's the interest on it? Do I have?
Yeah, so that would be like the 3.85.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. The 10-year was the 3.45. Yep.
So basically, I see the difference.
Normally it's Woodall, but he's really quiet tonight, so I'm kind of worried.
He's been quiet lately.
I'm waiting for a manicure.
No. So, if you do it this way, we're not gonna have to raise property taxes.
That is the
That's
goal.
the goal.
Yes, sir.
No, it'll be, it will be a goal if we will not raise property taxes.
Because with the SB1, the state's forcing us to increase our income tax to do everything, and we're already at a shortfall, so we've already got the increases coming anyway. So the property taxes will be what they are. This will be other avenues of revenue that will be coming in to help do all this.
I think that's what everybody said, one raise.
Absolutely.
But SB1 did come at an interesting time during our project. I think that is a fair assessment.
You are not alone.
Yeah, I'm sure of that, so.
Yeah.
But you guys know I have listed my concerns about this from the beginning. However, my concerns are more about whether we do the 10 or 20, but that's not the goal for tonight. So I will say, I would love to do local and everything like that, but kind of what Jay said, that the huge difference is a big hit. So I would, a bit more discussion, I would do a motion for open market.
Anything else? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any more discussion?
Is there any other questions?
He's sitting with the wrong ear, so.
My ear on this one. Till Thursday.
You can come sit by me.
Danny, what do you think about that? Are you leaning towards the same?
He said yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
We're good with the open market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Amanda, and a second by Jay for the open market. No further discussion. Do I have, all those in favor say aye? Aye. All those opposed? All right, unanimous. Thank you for the direction.
And so, okay, but we still have to put this out here.
How do you, I don't know, because everybody's different.
We do not read the whole thing. I think we need to formally introduce it, just read the top of it, the heading, and then I would like the statement that it is available for anyone who wants to read it in full at the auditor's office, or I will email it to whomever wants to read it in full. If they have insomnia and want something to put them to sleep at
Come on, that's not that bad.
I have to tease about it.
one at a time.
Okay.
So there's two.
Right.
There are two words.
Right.
Yes.
So Putnam County, Indiana, General Obligation Bond Ordinance Number 2026-04-21-1. Whereas the Board of Commissioners and the County Council of Putnam County, Indiana have determined that a need exists to undertake the funding, construction, and equipping of a new county annex building together with all, okay, I don't know, not appurtenances, okay,
Pertinences.
and related improvements, projects. How far?
That's fine.
Okay.
I think,
It's
and we,
available for.
For review, the, yeah, for,
auditor's office.
yep.
The auditor's office will have this. Right. Is there any,
Could you read that number, read it?
the 2026-04-21-1?
21. Yeah, and 24.
Perfect. Is there anything else that needs to be done with this one?
I think that's all.
Okay. And then the 2.
So that,
Okay, I didn't know how to type, so I know there'd be more here. Is there anything that we need to do with the 21-2?
The same thing, just read the title.
yep.
Say it's available.
Is ordinance number 2026-04-21-2, an ordinance of Putnam County, Indiana, appropriating the proceeds of the general obligation bond of 2026. Whereas the county council of Putnam County, Indiana, issuer has determined to issue bonds to provide the cost of the construction and equipping of a new county annex building, together with all necessary apparatuses and related improvement projects, and the incidental expenses in connection therewith, and on account of the issuance of the general obligation bonds of 2026 bonds.
Nope.
Are you good with that?
That's fine. And again, it's available for perusal at the auditor's office.
Yes, this is also available in the auditor's office. Now, do we need to make a motion for this one?
I don't think we do. I think we're introducing them. They've been introduced.
Okay.
They're available. Looking at the time frame, that's what the time, to me, the time frame that we've received is council introduces it, both of them, and then there's some dates that come up real quick in April where it's notices to the newspaper and to people that have asked for that specifically. It'll be notice we put in Gateway. That'll happen before, and then we come back on that. April 21st is when we'll be holding our public hearing. Yeah, public hearing and ask for adoption of the bond ordinance and the additional appropriation ordinance.
At that meeting, we'll need to put on the
Any other questions for these amazing ladies that have come?
So you guys know the numbers better than any of us, or me anyway. Are you in kind of agreement with the direction we're going?
The public sale, the competitive sale is going to issue estimation. I know people like to go local, and that's great, but they can't compete, those guys cannot compete internationally. Competitive market.
That's larger fund.
It makes a big difference.
And I think that you have fully explored the local funding option, probably more than any other county. I would hope that, and maybe I'm not, just from my experience, we have really pushed for that. In every meeting, we have reminded everybody that was a,
And Jason and I
Some-
both
something we really
received
wanted.
calls from Dan Baylor at Old National, and Jason Fox, so they did the due diligence, and that's right.
like I said, we really pushed that option, that we wanted that option if it was at all competitive, and that's what our preference honestly was, if we could work with our local lenders to do that. It's just the numbers aren't matching up.
Well, I know Dan.
I know you have.
I know he did.
I will defend that without a doubt, that has been always at the forefront from the beginning of this project. That was something that we were very interested in, and have pushed to keep that option open as long as possible. But we are at a time where we have to either
Right.
do it or not do it, and I think, and looking at this time frame that we have coming up here is very quick. Are you sure that we're going to be able to get our POS
Yes.
done? Okay.
They're doing that.
I know they are. I just want to make sure. I looked at that on the time frame, like, that's really quick.
Yep, I know that it's, it's already in the works.
I figured it was.
Just in case.
Okay.
And
All right.
They'll have it set up
where, as soon as the council makes their decision, the POS is finalized.
Okay.
The day after the next council meeting.
Okay, and then we don't see any issues with it? We're good? Okay. Let's make sure.
Yep. Thank you guys. Next, we have minutes, February 17th. Yeah, any questions or changes? If not, motion for approval. Barry make a motion, do I have a second?
Will you be back here? Will you be at the next meeting or Jason?
But I'll be back up for him if he needs
Okay,
to.
that's fine. Just trying to figure out who's looking at more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good night.
Yeah, it was nice being here.
Nice meeting you too.
All right, so, I can cover their salary, which is about $105,000 out of my supervisor's budget. The only thing I would need or ask for is the benefits for employees. The grant pool is about a little over $48,000, which is right at about the amount of additional overtime money I asked for last year. I asked for about $55,000 last year and spent all but a couple thousand. So Jay, you asked me earlier where that would come from. That would be my PSAP lit fund, which is where my initial came from last year for the overtime. And what I'm trying to do is turn that unexpected expense into an expected expense so that we can plan it and I'm not having to ask for more overtime than we would go up.
There may still be a little bit of overtime.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's,
About, I mean, guess, your best guess.
if I'm fully staffed and I'm one above my minimum, last year I was at, well, my original appropriation was $45,000. I spent like $85,000 in overtime last year alone. So I'd say I'm on the team right at
Go where you want.
yeah, because what that does with three people on a shift is anytime somebody's sick, somebody, wants to take a vacation, I'm already one above my minimum. So if somebody's sick, I don't have to let that go. And that's where we're getting into trouble. I mean, shoot, I had 2 people on maternity leave earlier than the end of last year at the same time, so everybody's equal. And plus, it's less burnout for the employees. They're not having to work so much, they can go see their families more. So. And nobody likes to burn out this much. But if you have any questions, I'm all yours.
Questions, thoughts? I know when we were discussing this before, that the numbers and this, something with Dave here, this department has always been one that's very, very tight. So, my fear is, for the insurance and stuff like that already. I definitely know and see the need for the changes that you need, and I applaud you for that, for helping out in this house and everything that's clear. I'm afraid that it is not sustainable. And I think personally, just me thinking, I think it's something that we need to look at really hard during budget times and see where the numbers fall there. The